Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we have our top 5 favorite games from 10 years ago. So from 2023, after this video we'll be doing a top 5 from 5 years ago as well. So be sure to check that out. And then later on we have, later on this month, the top 10 most played games of all time. This time looking at it from individual plays. Back in November we did hours played. This will be individual plays. But today we have the top 10 games from 10 years ago. Now top 5 games from 10 years ago. Now before we get into that list, I want to mention our sponsor, StoneValleyGames.com. This is your friendly distant game store run by Eric and Wendy. They may actually stock some of these very games we're going to talk about today. Check the link in the description below to see what they've got over there. Now, they have all kinds of cool stuff going on over at StoneValleyGames.com. They have a loyalty program for return customers. If you are living in the continental United States and you order $100 or more for them, they will ship to you for free. If you are in the military with an AA, AE, or AP address, they will ship to you for free as well. So go check out StoneValleyGames.com. Again, there's a link in the description below. Now, this list is going to be done by the minute. We've got 5 games, so that'll be 5 minutes starting now. All right, so number 5 is Forbidden Desert. This was the follow-up to Forbidden Island, which itself was sort of a follow-up to Pandemic, but whereas Forbidden Island trimmed Pandemic way down to some of its core mechanisms and made this cool thing where the island was sinking, you're trying to get off of it. This one is you're in a desert. Your flying machine, it's not really a plane, it's something else. Flying machine has crashed. Parts are spread out all over the desert. There's a sandstorm going around, and you're trying to collect all the pieces so you can get your ship up and running before you thirst to death, basically. And so you're going around this modular board, and sand dunes are like sand drifts are blowing around and covering things up, and you're trying to find these parts. And when you do, you then need to get back to the ship, build the ship. There's actually a little ship mini that you build, and if you manage to do that successfully, you win, you fly away, and you have saved yourself and the rest of the crew. Number 4 is Maquis. Now, this is one that I actually played for the first time this past year. And it's a solo-only game where you are playing as the French Resistance, and you're going around and trying to complete these different missions. There's lots of different missions lots of different objective cards, I should say, that are come in the game, and you always have 2 that you're trying to complete, and they come in different levels of difficulty, so you can kind of tweak how difficult the game is going to be for you. And the cool thing with this one is that you're not military, right? So your goal is to achieve these or to get these missions completed with as little violence as possible, because the more violence you commit, the more difficult the soldiers are going to be to get around, because you start off, you're not really dealing with soldiers, you're kind of dealing with civilian police. And then if you start killing people, though, the soldiers are going to be coming in, and they're more difficult to deal with than the police are. And so you're trying to complete these by sneaking around, and it's a lot of fun. That's Maquis. Number 3 is Sushi Go. This one is a game that we have played a lot in my family. I need to try to reintroduce it to the little ones again, just to see if maybe they're kind of at that age now where they can really grasp it. I think the middle one probably is. This is a card drafting set collection game, where you have a hand of cards, you pick one, you pass your cards, you flip it over, that type of thing. And depending on which sushi you're collecting, they do different things. They score different points different ways. Some of them are high risk, high reward, where if you can collect 3 of them, they're worth 10 points, I think, or 20 points. It's been a little while since we played. But if you don't get a set of 3, if you get a set of 1 or 2, it's worth 0 points, that type of thing. Whereas others, every one you get is going to be worth something, but just not nearly as much as collecting that set of 3. So pretty cool how that works. That's Sushi Go. Number 2 is Viticulture from Stonemaier Games. I'll give you a hint. Number 1 is also from Stonemaier Games. Viticulture is a winemaking game where Each player has their own player board in front of them. They plant, wine in their vineyard, and they then, or I should say, they plant grapes in their vineyard, and they harvest the grapes, and then you mash them, and then you put them in your cellar, and you're aging the wine, and basically you're trying to make the best vineyard, attract the most prestige, I believe, maybe is what you're doing here. I can't remember exactly what the victory points are called. There's lots of ways you can do that. You can attract visitors. You can have tours of your vineyard. You can get residual income from completing wine orders. And so there's lots of different things to do here, and it's really cool. But number one, also from Stonemaier Games, Euphoria. This is where you and your people are living in this dystopian future, and you're kind of almost like an overseer, I guess, in a way. But your workers, your workers are dice. The pips on the dice represent their knowledge. If you get too many workers together who get too smart, because you have to roll these dice at various times throughout the game, if the dice all add up to a certain amount, then the smartest one out of the crew has realized, oh crap, I'm living in a dystopia, I'm out of here. And then you lose that worker, they go away. You have to recruit a new one. There's 4 different factions on the board, and you're kind of dealing with each of these factions, trying to gain as many victory points. Again, I think it's really something like, I can't remember, that's not prestige in this one, influence maybe. Anyway, and so you're dealing with each of these different factions, trying to maybe work with just a couple of them, or maybe you spread out across all 4 of them. And there's one up in the clouds, there's one underground, there's one out in the wastelands, and there's one in the main city. Lots of different options here. You build these different buildings that have these real kind of cheeky names that kind of fit the dystopian the dystopian feel. These kind of parody names and everything. A lot of fun. That's Euphoria, Build a Better Dystopia from Stonemaier Games. Like I said, a lot of fun. Lots of great games from 10 years ago. I actually have played 16 different games from 10 years ago. To give you one that didn't quite fit in the top 5 was Dungeon Command. That's one of the first ones I ever got. First games that was ever in my collection. Have a lot of fond memories of that one. It just didn't quite make it into the top 5 though. Be sure to come back, check out those other top lists I told you about. Lots of other great stuff coming up. We've got how to play Aeon Trespass Odyssey, how to play Frosthaven, how to play Perdition's Mouth, and how to play Australia coming up soon. Check all that out, and until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.